Consider this a public service announcement that I have started a brand new save over at twitch.tv/lollujo FM. I'm going to be managing Club Brugge. We're just doing a normal Football Manager save, so very different from what we've been doing over in the Twitch streams so far. So if you haven't checked out the streams over on Twitch just yet, I am going to be streaming tonight, if you're watching this video when it first comes out, 9 o'clock, twitch.tv/lollujo FM. All you've missed so far is like 2 matches at the start of the season, so you can get right in at the start of that save, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Hello and welcome to Club 6, part 26 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, we are at home against Newcastle in the Premier League, then also at home against Monaco in the first leg of the Champions League knockout rounds. I mean, it's going to be a mess, the Champions League, but I decided I'm going to show you both legs of this one because we're probably about to get knocked out by Monaco. Remember, Monaco are the team who we tried to pretty much sign their entire defence last summer. Monaco are a good team in 2029. Since you were last with me, though, we've become a good team as well. We've had a little run of wins in the league. It's a shame we had that stupid defeat against Southampton that's kind of ruined the run a little bit. But we find ourselves second in the Premier League. Oh, we were second in the Premier League. Man United have drawn with Man City this morning, so we're effectively second in the Premier League because we're level on points with them and we've still got to play, and we're going to beat Newcastle 8-0, but we are 10 points behind top of the table Tottenham, so it looks like Tottenham are going to break into the exclusive group of Premier League winners in this year's Non-League to Legend before Arsenal do, because 10 points is pretty close to unassailable when you look at the fact we've only got 12 games left. But we could have a good Champions League run, a second place finish, a comfortable qualification for next year's Champions League, and I think that's progress again, albeit slow progress, but progress all the same. Of course, that all goes a little bit wrong if we lose now against Newcastle. So we need a win against Newcastle and then an even bigger and better win against Monaco. So our team for today's game, we've got Ryzen in goal, our back four of Martelot, Felipe, Alex and Suma, Davidson, Leshy and David in midfield with Schaefer in behind Sandu and Pingu. We do have another new signing to show you actually, who, in fact there's a couple. I'm not really sure who this guy is. Bellamino Mestrina, my director of football brought him in. I mean, to be fair, he brought him in on a free transfer and he's now worth 27 million quid. So I'm not going to complain too much that he was brought in. He's a 3-star central midfield player, and we definitely did need players in central midfield. So much so that I went out and bought another one on deadline day, mainly because I'd spent the whole month trying to find a fullback or another striker. Couldn't really find either of them and thought, well, you know what, right at the death, this guy looks good value. Let's bring him in. So we've also got Albinir Zanforlim, who's a central midfielder, can also play as an attacking midfielder or out wide a little bit as well. He's also got 3-star potential, and both him and Mestrina are just going to offer us some extra bodies in central midfield. We found ourselves, certainly towards the end of that first half of the season, having to play Satronzi in midfield and just generally, we dropped Tommy Merson back into the midfield 3 a couple of times. Schaefer played back there. I like the fact we've got these 4 very, very good central midfield players, and now we've got a couple of decent backups as well, which, I mean, that can't be a bad thing. It's still not ideal that we couldn't find a right back. But then, you know, we are making progress, running at a net transfer profit for the season, which I think that needs to be taken into account when you're all mocking me down in the comments. The club are in financial difficulties from before I arrived, and I'm helping repair them. We're gradually, this deficit each year, which had been solid year in, year out, unsung financial hero Kev, is lowering that deficit every summer. I'm building long term for Arsenal. I'm the new Arsene Wenger, so I'm going to be here for the next 22 years, and then I'll retire, and you'll all love me again. So let's get into the game, submit team, and hopefully give you an opportunity to see. Have we got any of the new guys on the bench? We haven't, so you're not going to see either of them. I did bring the one I signed on. He came on in the last game, and I mean, he looks fine. Neither of them are going to play regularly for the rest of this season, but we are once again preparing for life after Leshy, because I'd be very surprised if we keep hold of him this summer. Robbins has scored a couple of goals, though, in the league, which is very handy. He's going to become an absolute superstar. Imagine if he's the man who scores the goal that closes the gap on Tottenham, and we end up winning the league right at the end of the season, having closed down a 10-point gap because Bill Robbins, the guy Tottenham didn't want, scores a goal for us that wins us the league. It feels like there's a feels like there's a fate, there's poetry being formed there. There's a story to be told in amongst all of this. I don't know if the game's going to be that kind to me, though. I think we are moving in the right direction, and I hope next year will be the year where we can finally win the league. Because the weird thing is about this universe that we're in, the last 3 league champions have gone on to have terrible seasons the year after they won the league. So I'm hoping Tottenham do the same thing. If they win the league this year, they can have a terrible season and just fall off completely. And then I'd like to think it becomes our turn then. The dominance of Man United seems to be over. They are still challenging, but they're not dominating the way they were for so many years in a row winning the league. Chelsea have had a turn winning it and then fallen out of the Champions League spots entirely. Tottenham are now getting their turn. I'm hoping next year's our turn and then we can win the league and maybe pick up a Champions League, maybe move on at that point. I'm less desperate to leave Arsenal than I was this time last year. That might all change after the Monaco game. If we get ourselves knocked out of the Champions League in February and then have another couple of defeats in the league, I'll probably pretty soon start to get miserable with life at Arsenal again. But right now, it's all looking quite positive. I've got a team playing the way I want to play. I'm gradually assembling a bunch of players that look like my players finally. And it feels like progress. I've said progress a lot today, but we are making progress. Leshy misses a penalty. I mean, shit. I hope that doesn't end up costing us Mr. £100 million who can't even score a penalty against Newcastle. Sheesh. One thing I am aware of is goal difference. We need to get a little bit better. I don't even think it's scoring goals that's the problem. It's conceding them. We score plenty of goals, but we do also concede plenty of goals, and Tottenham have got double our goal difference. Man United have got an 8-goal advantage over us, so if it does come down to goal difference being something that's important come the end of the season, then we're going to have problems because ours is rubbish. Interested to see that Brighton are still knocking around in those Champions League spots with a game in hand, because remember, Brighton are the team we lost to on the first day of this season, and I decided it was all over, been off the 4-2-3-1, complete overhaul, and we've gone through that complete overhaul, new tactic, sold DVD, brought in some more players, completely reshaped the club in 6 months because we lost to a team as bad as Brighton. Brighton are going to get into the Champions League this year. So it's actually, in the grand scheme of things, wasn't a terrible result, and perhaps we didn't need the massive overhaul that we had. Perhaps we would have been fine if we'd have stayed as we were. There were people at the time saying, Kev, it's just one game, you'll be fine. Now I'm starting to think that might have been right, but I think I needed the push to get me back playing my kind of football again, because although we're not really, position-wise, we're looking no better than we were this time last season, really, or maybe slightly better, but I'm enjoying it so much more because we're playing my way. We're playing my shape. We just look like a Kev team, and that I find much more satisfying than faffing about doing proper football. Right, we're going to bring Willis on this time. We have been bringing Robbins on, but Willis is back from his loan, and he was in quite good form for West Brom on loan for the first half of the season. 7 goals from 10 starts in the Premier League for West Brom. So hopefully he can come in and score goals as well. Both him and Robbins I am going to need goals from in the second half of this season, because we all know how injury prone Dolberg and Pingu are. I should have put one of these midfielders on the bench. I'm not going to make a third substitution right now, but to bring in 2 central midfield players so we don't get into this pickle and then not put either of them on the bench seems like something of an oversight, but we won't worry about it too much now. Alex isn't having the best of games. We've got Vitali on the bench, so that seems like an easy change. Why have I got my centre-backs as defensive centre-backs? I don't remember making that decision. Has that been like that all season, or have I been fiddling? I've got the Monday morning football manager problems where I don't remember what I was doing on Friday afternoon when I turned this off. During the week, I can generally keep the flow of the game in my head. Monday morning, not a clue. Forgot I'd signed those midfield players. I've told you a reason why I signed them. It sounds convincing. I'm not entirely sure. I might have just misclicked, but I think I've managed to reverse engineer my thought process and decide why I want to sign them. I think I need a notebook where past Kev can leave notes for future Kev to explain what he's done last week. Right, we are still in second place in the Premier League, and now we need to carry our recent good run of form into this match against Monaco, which just becomes a massive, massive match. Now it looks like we can't win the league. No changes then for the Monaco game. The form we're in, why would we need to make changes? I'm so afraid. I have remembered to put one of the new midfielders on the bench. So Mestrina is going to sit on the bench today. So if we do need to bring on an additional central midfield player, we do have that as the option today. So there's a change to the bench, but no change to the actual team itself. We're having to give out a couple of squad numbers. One to our backup keeper. Jack Butland is retiring at the end of the season. He's still getting in the England squad regularly, but is retiring at the end of the season because he's now our third choice keeper. But not available today. Quevado not available today, both through injury, I think. So we've got a youth teamer on the bench. And Lamar is still at Monaco. 11 years in the future. He never left. Goodness me. That gives you some context about how good Monaco have become in this save. The fact that players didn't have to leave. They have some of the best, certainly the two best fullbacks that have shown up on my scout report. So I'm going to say they've got the two best fullbacks in the world, because I can't get them. I couldn't get one of their centre-backs who I was trying to sign, and they've still got Lamar in their team. So Monaco are not just a little team that players hang out at for a few years and then go and play for a big club. The French league is now the fourth biggest league in Europe, I think, or third. I think it was certainly ahead of Italy. It might be ahead of Germany as well on the reputation. It was just England and Spain, I think, that were bigger than the French league reputation-wise. So French football has had a surge in the last 10 years, and Monaco are definitely a part of that. But more important than any of that, Malcolm Felipe has just put us 1-0 up, 38 minutes on the clock. Being at home in the first leg, it's obviously crucial that we don't concede an away goal, but scoring is massive. If we could grab a couple more, that would be even better. 2 or 3-0 going back to their place, and then I'm going to relax a little bit. But obviously, they're going to go and score because we don't keep clean sheets very often. Although we have been doing it a little bit more often in the Premier League just lately. But I don't know. I don't feel at all confident that we're going to keep a clean sheet. So I think we probably need to score lots of goals. But 1-0 has become a bit of a trademark for us in recent matches. We had the boring Leicester tag at Leicester. I wonder if we're going to reinvent boring Arsenal from back in the 90s. And just start winning games 1-0, which is weird. Because as far as I'm concerned, this season we've switched things up to be a much more attacking team. And we are creating chances. If you look at the stats for today, we've had 2 clear-cut chances, 1 half chance, 8 shots. We are creating chances. We're just not quite being clinical with them yet. But we do seem to have tidied ourselves up a little bit at the back as well. Vice being in and fit again has been a big help. The 2 fullbacks are certainly playing a lot better now than they were in the 4-2-3-1, which is weird because you'd think the defence has less protection in this system. But maybe that switch to defensive centre-back, maybe that's helped. Maybe that's something that needs to go in past Kev's notebook. Maybe that was a sensible decision that he made. Right, Willis is going to come on for Pingu because Pingu hasn't really turned up. Likewise with Schaefer, so Tommy Merson comes on for him. So we bring on 2 of our own homegrown young English players. Although Tommy Merson's not as young. But they're both sort of early to mid-20s. And they've both come through our youth team. They both want to beat Monaco. They both want to win the Champions League. More than anyone else in our squad, I imagine. Alex is going to come off as well. We'll bring Sarr on for him. Second game in a row where Alex has not really played particularly well. Something we probably need to keep an eye on and monitor. But we won't worry about it too much right now. Oh, if they score here, it's going to be sickening. 1-0 going back to their place. I mean, it's better than nothing. But 1-1, and they are very much in control going into this second leg. And goodness me, we're defending a little bit casually here. But Samdu plays the ball forward to Willis. So it doesn't seem to be any time left. But Tommy Merson is in and couldn't get the shot away. And that should be the end of the match. But it looks like Monaco are getting one last attack. And we have given them so much space to attack into. And we have gotten away with it a little bit right at the death. I mean, we deserve the win. Look at the stats. We definitely deserve the win. But we're making it a little bit difficult for ourselves right at the end of the match here. And I'm saying we deserve the win as if it's already happened. But the game is still going. We're now over a minute past the end of injury time. That's a good sentence, Kev. But we have won the match. And that is important. And in tomorrow's episode, we have two even massiver matches than the ones we've just had. We're playing Tottenham in the Premier League, and then we have the second leg against Monaco. If we win both of those games in tomorrow's episode, we could be on for an amazing season. But that's a big, big if. If you have enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.